Melissa found her quarters that night unable to sleep. Her mind raced with thoughts of the proposal. She paced across the small room, her steps silent on the soft floor covering that responded to pressure by glowing faintly. A chime at her door startled her from her thoughts. She called out permission to enter. Nicole, her closest human friend aboard the ship, stepped inside, her eyes wide. "I just heard the rumors," Nicole said breathlessly. "Is it true? Did the captain really propose to you? News travels fast." Melissa sighed, sitting on the edge of her bed. "Yes, but it's complicated. It's more of a political arrangement than anything else." Nicole sat beside her. The tall redhead had been a communications specialist before joining the exchange program. Her expertise in linguistics made her invaluable to the mission. "Political or not, this is huge," Nicole said. "Do you have any idea what this means? You'd be the first human to marry into Zaxian nobility. Their society is incredibly hierarchical. This would give humans a voice in their ruling class." "I know," Melissa said, rubbing her temples. "That's why I can't just refuse, but I barely know her." Nicole raised an eyebrow. "From what I understand about their culture, you'd have time to develop a relationship. The initial bonding is just the beginning. There's a long period of courtship even after the formal agreement." Melissa looked up surprised. "How do you know that?" Nicole smiled sheepishly. "I've been studying their mating customs for my cultural analysis reports. Their approach to marriage is actually quite practical. They form political bonds. First, then allow personal connections to develop naturally. They believe passion without purpose leads to instability." "That does sound like them," Melissa admitted. "What about physically?" Nicole asked hesitantly. "Have you thought about that aspect?" Melissa felt her cheeks flush. "I know Zaxians are compatible with humans," she said. "We received those briefings before the mission. Their biology is different but not incompatible, and the captain is attractive," Nicole pointed out. Even by human standards, Melissa couldn't deny that Lyra possessed an otherworldly beauty. Her tall, graceful form and the way her skin caught the light was mesmerizing. The next morning, Melissa requested information about Zaxian marriage customs from the ship's database. She spent hours reading, learning that the crystal bonding was only the first step in a complex series of rituals that could take up to an Earth year to complete the initial bond. Could be broken if both parties agreed, though it was rare among Zaxians. After her shift, she found herself walking toward the ship's observation deck. It was usually empty at this time, as most of the crew preferred the social areas during off hours. She was surprised to find Lyra already there. The captain stood before the massive viewport, her slender form silhouetted against the stars. "Captain," Melissa said softly, announcing her presence. Lyra turned her 4 eyes, adjusting to see Melissa in the dim light. "Lieutenant, I was just contemplating the vastness of space. It helps provide perspective." Melissa moved to stand beside her, gazing out at the starfield. "I have questions about your proposal, if you're willing to discuss it." "I expected you would," Lyra said. Her voice seemed less formal than usual. More natural, Zaxians often maintained strict control over their vocal patterns when dealing with other species. But now, Lyra allowed her natural musical tones to emerge. "Ask what you wish." "Why?" Melissa began. "There are other humans aboard more senior than I am, some with more impressive backgrounds." Lyra's neck scales shifted to a light purple, a color Melissa had not seen before. "My mother reviewed all personnel files. She believes your genetic profile and psychological assessments make you an ideal candidate for integration into our society." Melissa frowned. "That sounds rather clinical." Lyra's upper eyes blinked in what Melissa had come to recognize as amusement. "It is the Zaxian way. But as I said before, my own observations played a role. I requested you specifically after reviewing the candidates. My mother selected." Something in Lyra's tone made Melissa's heart beat faster. "Why?" The captain turned fully to face her. "For many cycles our people have observed humanity. We find you fascinating. Your species accomplished so much in such a short evolutionary time span. You are adaptable, creative, and surprisingly resilient. We believe an alliance between our peoples would benefit both. But for such an alliance to work, it must begin with individuals who can bridge the gap between our worlds. Is that all I would be?" A bridge? Melissa asked. No, Lyra said, stepping closer. You would be my partner, my equal in all ways. That is why I chose you. You do not fear me or my people. You see us as we are not as exotic creatures or powerful allies, but as people. Melissa felt something stir within her. She had always been drawn to the unknown. That was why she had volunteered for the exchange program in the first place. To explore, to discover, to connect, may I ask a personal question? Captain Melissa said, You may call me Lyra when we are alone. The Zaxian replied, And yes, you may. Have you ever been bonded before? Lyra's scales shifted again. No, I have not. Many expected me to bond with someone from one of the other noble houses, but I wished to wait until I found someone worthy. Melissa realized the implications of what Lyra was saying. This wasn't just a political arrangement for the captain. It was a deeply personal choice, one that went against expectations. That night, Melissa dreamed of distant stars and a hand with too many fingers holding hers. She woke feeling more certain than she had since receiving the proposal. The air smelled different on the Zaxian ship, bright hope compared to Earth, Melissa thought as she walked through the curved hallways. The metallic scent mixed with something like cinnamon and oranges. She had been aboard for 3 months now as part of the first human cultural exchange program. Melissa Morgan adjusted her uniform and checked her reflection in the polished wall surface. Her blonde hair was pulled back in regulation style, but a few strands had escaped. She tucked them behind her ears and continued toward the command center where she had been summoned. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the central hub of the massive ship. Captain Lyra stood at the main console, her tall, slender frame towering over the human technicians who had joined the mission. Lyra was beautiful by both human and Zaxian standards. Her skin shimmered with a subtle blue iridescence, and her 4 eyes blinked independently as she turned to face Melissa. Lieutenant Morgan reporting as requested. Captain Lyra, Melissa said with a formal bow of respect. The Zaxian captain moved toward her with graceful steps that seemed to float above the floor. Her face remained expressionless, but Melissa had learned to read the subtle shifts in the captain's neck scales that indicated pleasure. You have performed admirably during your time aboard Bright Hope, Lieutenant Morgan, the captain said. Her voice carried the musical quality all Zaxians possessed. Your dedication to understanding our ways has not gone unnoticed. Thank you, Captain, Melissa replied, wondering why she had been called to the command center for what seemed to be a performance review. Lyra gestured toward a private meeting chamber off the main bridge. Please join me. The chamber was small but comfortable with curved seating that adjusted to both human and Zaxian physiology. Melissa sat down, feeling suddenly nervous. My mother contacts me daily about you, the captain said abruptly. Melissa blinked in surprise. Your mother? The High Counselor? Yes, Lyra continued. She has been watching the cultural exchange program with great interest, particularly your performance and adaptability. Melissa felt her cheeks grow warm. She knew her work was being evaluated, but had no idea it reached the attention of the Zaxian High Council itself. On my world, family connections determine much of our societal structure, Lyra explained. My mother has decided that our families should be joined. Melissa nodded, wondering where this conversation was heading. She had studied Zaxian culture extensively before joining the mission, but family politics among the elite was something rarely shared with outsiders. Lyra reached into a hidden pocket in her uniform and removed a small, glowing crystal. It pulsed with internal light in time with the captain's heartbeats among my people. This is how we formalize a union between families, Lyra said, holding the crystal out toward Melissa. It will bond with your biorhythms and create a permanent connection. Melissa stared at the crystal, then at Lyra, realization slowly dawning. Are you proposing some kind of political alliance through marriage? Lyra's upper eyes blinked, while her lower ones remained fixed on Melissa. The captain seemed amused. My family wants us to marry human, she said. Melissa felt her breath catch. The implications were enormous. The first human Zaxian marriage would make interstellar headlines. It would cement relations between the two species in ways diplomats had been working toward for years. But marriage, Melissa had joined the program to advance her career and help humanity, not to find a spouse, especially not an alien one. I need time to think, Captain Melissa said carefully, not wanting to cause a diplomatic incident. Your offer is unexpected. Lyra retracted the crystal slightly. The cultural exchange program was designed for understanding. She acknowledged, I forget sometimes how different our perspectives are. To my people, this would be an honor beyond measure, a political marriage that elevates both our families. Melissa thought quickly. Everything she knew about Zaxian culture told her that refusing outright would be a grave insult, one that might damage the fragile alliance between their worlds. But accepting meant committing to a life partnership with someone she barely knew from a species with vastly different customs and biology. What would this marriage mean exactly? Melissa asked. What would be expected of me? Lyra seemed pleased by the question. You would join my family line. You would continue your work. But as a member of a high house, your status would elevate. You would have access to knowledge and technology humans have yet to see. And she hesitated, her neck scales shifting. To a deeper blue, we would be exclusive partners. Melissa studied Lyra's face. The captain had always been professional, distant even. Yet now Melissa detected something else, something almost like vulnerability. How long do I have to decide? Melissa asked. 1 Earth Week, Lyra responded. My mother expects an answer by then. She stood, signaling the end of the conversation. But know this, human. This proposal comes not just from political calculation. Melissa rose to her feet. What do you mean? Lyra's 4 eyes focused intently on her. I have observed you closely these past months. Your courage, your adaptability, your determination. These are traits valued by my people, valued by me. Before Melissa could respond, Lyra swept from the room, leaving her alone with her thoughts. The 3rd day after the proposal, Melissa received a transmission from Earth. It was her commanding officer, Admiral Diane Kelly, a stern woman with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Lieutenant Morgan. The Admiral began, her image slightly distorted by the vast distance the signal had traveled. Word of your situation has reached Earth. Command. Melissa stood straighter, automatically responding to the authority in the Admiral's voice. Yes, Mom. The Zaxian High Council, through Captain Lyra, has proposed a political marriage. I have not yet given my answer. The Admiral's expression remained neutral, but Melissa detected a hint of concern in her eyes. This is unprecedented, Lieutenant. The diplomatic corps is in an uproar. Some see it as an opportunity. Others are concerned about the implications. What is your directive, Mom? Melissa asked, preparing herself for orders to refuse the proposal. Admiral Kelly sighed visibly. To be frank, Lieutenant, we don't know what to tell you. This goes beyond any protocol. We have established the decision has been left to your discretion. Melissa blinked in surprise. You mean I can choose? The Admiral nodded. Earth Command believes that forcing either outcome would damage relations with the Zaxians. But I want to be clear, Morgan. This is not just about diplomacy. This would be your life. We can extract you if needed. Claim a cultural misunderstanding. No, Melissa said quickly. I understand the implications. I'm still considering, but I believe this could be important for human-Zaxian relations, and for you personally, the Admiral asked, her voice softening. Melissa hesitated. I'm not sure yet, but I'm learning. The transmission ended, leaving Melissa with more to think about. She realized that whatever choice she made would have historical significance. She would either be the first human to marry into Zaxian nobility, or the human who declined such an honor. Either way, her name would be remembered. Later that day, Melissa was invited to join a small group of Zaxians for their daily meditation ritual. It was an honor rarely extended to humans. The meditation chamber was filled with a sweet-smelling mist that seemed to make thoughts clearer, rather than clouding them. Lyra sat across from her in the circle, along with 3 other high-ranking Zaxians. The alien captain wore ceremonial robes instead of her uniform, the fabric shifting colors with her movements. The meditation involved synchronized breathing and focus on a central crystal similar to, but larger, than the one Lyra had offered Melissa. As they sat in silence, Melissa felt a strange connection forming between herself and the others in the circle. It wasn't telepathy, nothing so direct, but rather a sense of shared consciousness, a unity of purpose. When the session ended, Melissa felt refreshed and oddly at peace. The eldest Zaxian, a female named Thala, with pale, almost white scales, approached her. "You have a disciplined mind for a human," Thala said, her voice crackling with age. The crystal responded, "Well, to your presence." "Thank you," Melissa replied, honored by the compliment. Thala's four eyes studied her intently. "Lyra has chosen well. I think you carry the strength of your species, but without the fear that clouds many human minds," before Melissa could respond. Thala glided away, leaving her alone with Lyra. The captain seemed more relaxed than Melissa had ever seen her. "The meditation appears to have benefited you," Lyra observed. "It was remarkable." Melissa admitted, "I felt connected to everyone in the room even though we didn't speak." "That is the purpose," Lyra explained. "Our species evolved with subtle empathic abilities. The crystals enhance this connection, allowing us to achieve harmony without words. It is the foundation of our society, and why we value unity so highly." "Is that why marriage is so important to your people?" Melissa asked. "Because of this connection," Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "Partly, yes. The bonding crystal creates a permanent link between partners, not mind-reading as humans often fear, but rather an awareness and ability to sense the other's emotional state even at great distances. It prevents the isolation that can lead to conflict." Melissa considered this. The idea of such a connection was both frightening and appealing. "Would I be able to sense you too?" "Yes," Lyra confirmed, "though human minds perceive it differently from what I understand. The few human Zaxian pairs that exist describe it as an intuitive awareness rather than direct emotion sharing." That night, Melissa contacted her parents on Earth. Her mother, Patricia, a botanist specializing in extraterrestrial plant adaptation, and her father, John, a retired military officer, listened with increasing astonishment as she explained the situation. "You're considering marrying an alien?" Her father said, his expression a mixture of concern and amazement. "It's more complicated than that," Dad, Melissa replied. "But yes, essentially." Her mother leaned forward. "Have you developed feelings for her?" Melissa hesitated. "I respect her greatly. And there's something about her that draws me in, but it's not like any relationship I've had before." Her father's expression softened. "That's how it should be, kid. No, two relationships are ever the same, even between two humans. But what about children?" her mother asked. "Can you even have them together?" "Actually, yes," Melissa explained. "The Zaxians have advanced genetic technology. They can combine DNA from any compatible species. They've already done it with humans before, though. Rarely." Her parents exchanged glances. "We just want you to be happy, sweetie," her mother said. "Whatever you decide, we'll support you." "Thank you," Melissa said, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "That means everything to me." After the call ended, Melissa made her way to the ship's garden. A special section had been created with earth plants that thrived in the slightly different atmospheric conditions of the Zaxian ship. She often came here when she needed to think, surrounded by reminders of home. The ship's garden was empty when Melissa arrived. The artificial sunlight had dimmed to simulate evening on Earth. She walked among the plants, trailing her fingers over familiar leaves and petals. The scent of soil and growing things reminded her of her mother's greenhouse. She was surprised to find a small earth rosebush blooming in one corner. It hadn't been there during her last visit. Someone had planted it recently. "Lieutenant Morgan," a voice called softly. Melissa turned to see Beth, one of the human botanists, tending to some seedlings nearby. "Did you see the roses?" Beth asked. "The captain had them brought aboard on the last supply shuttle. Requested them specifically." Melissa moved closer to the delicate red blooms. Why would she do that? Beth smiled knowingly. "Word gets around, you know. We all heard about the proposal. The captain has been studying human courtship customs. Roses have significance in many Earth cultures, especially regarding romance. Melissa felt warmth spread through her at the thought of Lyra researching human traditions, making an effort to bridge their cultural differences. The fifth day brought a new development. A formal invitation arrived, requesting Melissa's presence at a dinner with the ship's highest-ranking officers and several Zaxian diplomats. Such gatherings were rare and usually reserved for official functions. Nicole helped her prepare, lending her a formal dress that complemented both human and Zaxian aesthetic sensibilities. "You look amazing, Nicole," said, adjusting the shimmering blue fabric that matched the Zaxian formal colors, yet flattered Melissa's human form. "The captain won't be able to keep all four eyes off you." Melissa laughed nervously. "I still haven't given my answer, you know." Nicole raised an eyebrow. "Really? Because everything you've done suggests you've made up your mind. Has it been that obvious?" Melissa asked. "To me?" "Yes," Nicole said. "You light up whenever she's mentioned. Your whole demeanor changes." The dining hall had been transformed. For the occasion, the lighting adjusted to a soft glow that flattered both species. The tables arranged in the traditional Zaxian circular pattern symbolizing unity and equality. When Melissa entered, all conversation stopped. The Zaxians turned to observe her, some with obvious curiosity, others with approval. Lyra stood from her position at the head of the circle, her ceremonial robes glittering with embedded crystals that caught the light. "Lieutenant Morgan," the captain said formally, "we are honored by your presence." The formal greeting was part of Zaxian protocol, but Melissa detected genuine warmth in Lyra's tone. She took her assigned seat, which she noticed was directly across from the captain, a position of honor. The meal consisted of dishes from both worlds, carefully prepared to be compatible with both species' biology. Melissa recognized some Earth delicacies alongside Zaxian specialties she had come to enjoy during her time aboard. Throughout the meal, conversation flowed around various topics from scientific discoveries to cultural exchanges. Melissa noticed that the Zaxians made a particular effort to include her, drawing her into discussions, asking her opinions on matters that would affect both their peoples. During a brief pause in the conversation, an elderly Zaxian diplomat named Voran addressed her directly. "You must find our customs strange, human," he said, his voice carrying the distinctive rasp of advanced age. "Not strange," Melissa replied diplomatically. "Different, yes, but with purpose. Your society values harmony and connection. While preserving individual strengths, Earth cultures have sought the same balance, though through different means." Voran's neck scales rippled with approval. "A diplomatic answer," he said. "But I wonder what you truly think of our proposal. An arranged marriage for political advantage. Would not your people consider this cold, calculated?" Melissa considered her response carefully. "From what I understand, it's not purely political," she said. "The matching process considers compatibility, temperament, and potential for genuine connection. The political advantages are important. Yes, but they're not the only consideration." The elder Zaxian nodded. "And what of love?" he asked. "The concept your species value so highly." Before Melissa could respond, Lyra spoke, her voice carrying across the table. "My research indicates that human love develops through shared experience, mutual respect, and compatible values. It is not so different from our concept of soul harmony." The table fell silent, all eyes moving between the captain and Melissa. "Is that your understanding as well?" Lieutenant Voran asked. Melissa met Lyra's gaze across the table. "In many ways, yes," she said. "My people often mistake initial attraction for love. But true lasting partnerships are built on deeper foundations: trust, respect, shared purpose. These things grow over time." After dinner, as the gathering dispersed, Lyra approached Melissa. "You handled Voran's questions well," the captain said. "Few humans understand our perspective so clearly." Melissa smiled. "I've had 3 months to study your culture, and a very good teacher." Lyra's scales shifted to that intriguing purple hue again. "I would speak with you privately if you are willing." They walked together to a small observation lounge. The ship had entered orbit around a gas giant whose swirling clouds created a spectacular view. "Tomorrow you must give your answer," Lyra said. "I would not pressure you, but I would ensure you have all information needed for your decision." "I appreciate that," Melissa said. "What else should I know?" Lyra seemed to hesitate, unusual for the normally confident captain. "The bonding, if you accept, has both political and personal implications. You would become part of my house with all the responsibilities and privileges that entails, but you would also become part of my life. My partner." She searched for the word equal half. "And you?" Melissa asked softly. "What do you want, setting aside politics and family expectations?" Lyra's four eyes focused on her with intensity. "I want you, Lieutenant Morgan. I have since I first observed your handling of the neural interface incident. You showed courage, intelligence, and compassion, qualities my people value above all others. The political advantages are real, but secondary to my personal desire for our union." Melissa felt her pulse quicken. It was the most direct emotional statement she had ever heard from a Zaxian. "You want me," she repeated. "But you barely know me." Lyra moved closer. "I know enough to know I wish to learn more, to know that together we could accomplish great things. And perhaps," the captain added softly, "find happiness as well." On the sixth day, Melissa made her decision. She requested a private audience with the captain. When Lyra entered the meeting chamber, Melissa stood tall and confident. Her mind was clear for the first time since receiving the proposal. "Captain, I accept." "Your proposal," Melissa said. "I cannot pretend to fully understand what this means for either of us, but I believe in building bridges between our peoples. And I believe," she added softly, "that we could learn much from each other." Lyra's neck scales flushed, a vibrant purple, a color Melissa had never seen before. The captain extended the crystal once more. "Place your hand on it," Lyra instructed. Melissa reached out. The moment her fingers touched the crystal, it flared with brilliant light. The glow spread, up her arm, tingling but not unpleasant. When it faded, she felt different somehow, as though a part of her was now connected to something larger. "It is done," Lyra said, her voice carrying unexpected warmth. "We are now promised to one another." The official announcement was made shipwide the next morning. A human and a Zaxian joined in formal engagement, the first of its kind. The crew's reaction was mixed, but mostly positive. The human contingent especially seemed excited by the development, seeing it as a sign of true acceptance by their Zaxian hosts. Melissa soon learned that Zaxian engagement traditions were elaborate and lengthy. The initial bonding was followed by a period called the knowing, during which the couple would spend time learning about each other's lives, families, and personal histories. 2 weeks after their engagement, Lyra took Melissa to her private quarters. It was the first time any human had been invited into the captain's personal space. The room was larger than Melissa's, but still modest for someone of Lyra's rank. The decor blended functionality with beauty, curves and angles balanced in perfect harmony. "These are my ancestral tokens," Lyra explained, gesturing to a display of small objects, each glowing faintly with internal light. "They contain memories of my forebears, their knowledge, their experiences. I would share them with you." Melissa stepped closer, fascinated. "How do they work?" Lyra selected one, a crystal similar to their bonding stone but smaller, with a deep blue hue. "Hold it," she instructed, "and think of me." Melissa took the crystal and focused on Lyra. Immediately the stone warmed in her palm and images flooded her mind. A young Zaxian girl standing proudly in ceremonial robes. The same girl, older, now training with other young Zaxians in what appeared to be combat exercises. Then older, still receiving her captain's insignia. She realized she was seeing Lyra's memories. Her life. "It's incredible," Melissa whispered as the images faded. "These are your actual memories," Lyra nodded. "This is how we preserve our history, how we learn from those who came before. Now that we are bonded, you can access my ancestral tokens. and someday your memories will join them. The realization of what this meant struck Melissa. This wasn't just a marriage. It was truly becoming part of Lyra's lineage. Her memories, her experiences would live on even after she was gone, becoming part of Zaxian history in return. "I'd like to share something of my culture with you," Melissa said. She retrieved a small package from her pocket and unwrapped it, revealing 2 simple gold bands. "On Earth, many of our cultures exchange rings as symbols of partnership," she explained. "They're worn to show that we're committed to each other. I had these made from my family's heirloom jewelry." Lyra examined the rings with curiosity. "They are beautiful in their simplicity," she said. Melissa took one of the rings. "May I?" The captain extended her hand, her long, slender fingers with their subtle scaling glimmering in the light. Melissa slipped the ring onto what approximated Lyra's ring finger. It fit perfectly. "The second ring?" Lyra asked. Melissa held out her own hand, and Lyra carefully placed the remaining ring on her finger. The captain's touch was gentle, warm, the slight texture of her scales pleasant against Melissa's skin. "We have much to learn about each other's customs," Lyra said, "but I find I am eager for the education." Over the following months, they developed a rhythm balancing their duties with time together. Melissa was promoted to Cultural Liaison Officer, working directly with the Zaxian Diplomatic Corps. Her unique position as both a human officer and the future partner of a Zaxian noble gave her unprecedented access and influence. Their relationship deepened gradually, as Lyra had explained. Zaxians believed in building connection through shared experience rather than passionate declaration. The bonding crystal helped Melissa become increasingly aware of Lyra's emotional state, feeling echoes of the captain's thoughts and feelings. Surprisingly, she found the connection comforting rather than invasive, a gentle awareness rather than an intrusion. 6 months after their engagement, the Bright Hope received orders to return to Earth. It would be Lyra's first visit to her fiancé's homeworld, and the first official state visit by a Zaxian noble to human territory. The ship entered Earth orbit on a clear spring day. Melissa stood at the viewport with Lyra watching the blue planet grow larger. "It's beautiful," Lyra said. "I understand now why your people fight so fiercely to protect it. Our new home," Melissa said. "At least part of the time. The Diplomatic Corps has arranged for us to split our time between Earth and Zaxia, allowing us to fulfill duties to both worlds." Lyra's hand found hers, their fingers intertwining despite the anatomical differences. "That seems appropriate," she said. "We ourselves are a bridge between worlds, neither fully one nor the other, but something new, something better." I think, as they prepared for the landing ceremony, Melissa helped Lyra with her formal Earth attire. The Zaxian looked striking in the modified human diplomatic uniform specially designed to accommodate her physiology. Lyra fastened the final clasp on Melissa's uniform, her touch lingering. "Are you nervous, my partner?" A little, Melissa admitted. "We're making history today." The first official human Zaxian engaged couple presented to Earth leadership. Lyra's scales shifted. "To a confident blue, I have faced battle fleets with less preparation than your diplomats have put into this ceremony. Everything will proceed as planned." Melissa laughed. "Some things transcend species differences. Bureaucracy is apparently universal, so you." Captain's expression softened, one that Melissa had come to recognize as her equivalent of a smile. "I have a question before we depart," she said. "1. I have researched, but wish to confirm." Melissa nodded. "Go ahead. On Earth, after the formal engagement, period couples typically marry in a ceremony with witnesses. Is this something you would wish to include in our bonding?" Melissa felt warmth spread through her at the thoughtfulness of the question. "Yes," she said, "I would like that very much. Though, it would mean combining traditions." Lyra touched the ring on her finger. "We are already combining traditions," she said. "Every day we create something new, something neither of our worlds has seen before. Is that not the point of all this? The true bridge between our peoples as their shuttle prepared to depart for Earth." Melissa looked at her alien fiancé. This tall, beautiful creature from another world who had chosen her. She felt the subtle presence of Lyra in her mind through their bond, a gentle, Reassurance. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Melissa knew they would face them together. Two women from different stars bound by duty responsibility, and something neither had expected, but both now embraced, love transcending worlds.